I'm used to just yelling across the room at my colleague and saying, hey, what do you got for me as far as this particular thing is concerned? Whereas now we have to do these technology calls and things along those lines. It's definitely, a little bit different.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you feel like are important to remember for people who are doing this for the first time and for a little while?
Well, I would say just keep in mind that this is a temporary thing. We're not necessarily going to be in this forever. Granted, it might be a little bit longer than we might have hoped, especially from the get-go. But maintaining that positive outlook in saying that we can still get this job done, and we can do it in this fashion. Whereas, just think about it: if we were doing this 20 years ago, the challenges would be a lot greater than what we're having right now.
That's so very true. And I think that that positive outlook is an important way to kind of get us through to the end so we can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right, exactly. And not only that, but I mean, hey, we get to hang out with our family and our pets throughout the workday. So that sometimes there's some positives to that.
Yes, mine is behind me in the
I kicked mine out, so
Um, so let's kind of walk through like what are some of the things that that you might have noticed that people are kind of struggling with to get over these technological hurdles, or just things that they would normally be able to shout across the room they can't. Like, what are some things to kind of make that easier?
Well, as I mentioned, technology is one way that we can kind of bridge that gap, I would say, as far as being able to continue to be productive while still staying on task as well. And I think that may be one of the big struggles with a lot of people as well is being held accountable for the things that you're doing in the office. It's a lot easier to get distracted on excuse me, on your cell phone or something along those lines, when nobody's actually looking over your shoulder and seeing what you might actually be doing. So again, staying on task and making sure that you set up certain things that you want to get done throughout the day. That's one thing that my team and I have been doing lately, is holding each other accountable as far as the things that we're going to do during that specific day, making sure that we put it somewhere where we can all share that information, and then again hold each other accountable and say, hey, what did you get done today, or what did you go above and beyond on what you were doing with that particular task.
Okay, and then how can kind of managers manage this type of situation, because they're not able to look over your shoulder and make sure that you're doing what you're doing, or give you feedback in a one-on-one, or even just like a on time basis, I guess.
Right. Yeah, an on-demand type of thing. I totally get what you're saying, and I think, and again, we're all figuring this out. I think universally, especially again those of us that are in this stay-at-home type of thing. It's I think again being creative and coming up with new ways, and something I was talking about my team with today is coming up with some kind of like a bingo game, specific things that you can do that that everybody's really supposed to be able to do throughout that day. Hey, if you check off one of the things on this bingo card, then make sure that the team knows about it, make sure that everybody is staying connected in that fashion, and then we can cheer each other on for the successes that we do have and those things that we continue to do well.
Okay, and then what are some of the hardships that we've kind of seen as we transition to this, and then maybe even as we're gonna transition out eventually?
Well, hardships in regard to a variety of things there are out there. I mean, distractions again with not only those that we have this technology at our fingertips as far as the phone and whatnot, but we got kids, we got pets, we've got chores that we think that we need to do throughout the day. There's those different distractions that come into play that can definitely become a little bit of a hurdle in order to get your job done that you want to do. And not only that, but I would say on the other spectrum of that too is that sometimes it can be hard to delineate where the work-life balance comes into play when you're working from home. You might work more hours than you typically do when you're in the office. You're not saying, "Oh, 5 o'clock, looks like I got to go home today." No, you can still be sitting there working on your computer at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then suddenly other things that you would normally utilize in order to decompress throughout the day get pushed to the side.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that we're all kind of trying to figure out for ourselves, because at work you say, okay, I need a mental brain break. I'm going to
Right.
go up and I'm going to get a cup of coffee, or I'm going to do something like that. And at home, those lines are kind of blurred.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say as far as that's concerned is maintaining a routine. And that's something that I saw early in this whole process as somebody had put out there, hey, I've been working at home for years and this is what I do. Still continue to get up at the same time, take a shower, go through the normal routine that you would have done when you are working from the office, whether that's getting the kids up and trying to get them ready to go to school. Well, granted, they're not going to school right now, but you can still go through that same routine, getting them breakfast, being able to make sure that the things that they need to get done to do school from home is adequate and be able to deal with those things and again continue that routine and just kind of pretend like you're still doing the same thing that you were doing before, just from a different perspective, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that that's very important to um, getting things done and knowing that this temporary thing, we can still get stuff done. We can still accomplish what we, not necessarily in the same way, but just the things that
Right.
we need to get accomplished.
For sure. And yeah, it's it's a brave new world, but we're all figuring it out as it goes.
Do you have any suggestions for people who are kind of struggling a little bit, or who say, look, I don't have access to the things that I need in order to do part of my job? How can they kind of still maintain their productivity and feel like they're doing good work when they can't do all of the work they would normally do?
Sure. Well, there's always ways that people can think outside the box when it comes to their jobs. Again, being a recruiter like I am, it's a rather uncertain time when it comes to people and the jobs that they have. So one of the things that we're doing is we're again thinking outside the box as far as where else can we help when it comes to different industries, different types of positions. What we tend to call off of our general types of positions that we recruit for and whatnot. So just being a little bit creative on that front. And again, just remembering that this is a temporary thing and we will get back to normal here, hopefully soon. But again, it's nobody knows exactly when that's going to come about, but we know that it will. That's something that's a date that will come and come into play.
Okay, and then for employers, like how can they kind of make sure that people are comfortable working from home, or um, they're they're getting done what they need to get done? How is there some ideas that you have for that?
I would say providing the tools that they need in order to be able to work from home is something that is important and something that many different companies really need to either embrace or invest in, really, as far as laptops or tablets or whatever it is that they actually need in order to make sure that their workforce stays in focus and make sure that they can stay in contact and do the things that they need to do. And again, hold them accountable with certain things that they want done throughout the day. So therefore, not only can those employers know that their employees are doing the things that they need to do, but those employees can feel that they are accomplishing something throughout the day and that it's not going to waste and that it's not necessarily something that you're just doing just for the sake of doing it. There's definitely things that you can accomplish that will make everything better and help us all move forward.
And I think that's very important because for so many people, what they do and what they accomplish at work is such a big part of who they see themselves as.
Exactly. Hmm. Yeah, you introduce yourself to people at parties and you say, hey, I'm so and so and this is what I do, right? So I mean it is definitely ingrained in our personalities. It's ingrained in the way that we actually think about ourselves. And it could be a little bit of a depressing time perhaps for some who feel that maybe that's getting taken away from them at this time. But again, keeping it in perspective that this is going to be a short-term thing. We're going to get back to normal at some point, and your job still has a lot of worth, even if we are going through a little bit of a different time right now.
Okay, and then one more question. We kind of touched on this earlier. Just how can you kind of maintain that separation that you usually would get? Okay, I'm leaving home, I'm going to the office. Now I'm leaving the office and I'm coming home. Those lines are so very blurred when you work from home. Like
Right.
we talked about a schedule. Is there anything else that would be helpful?
I think just having a very specific time frame in mind for when you are going to work and when you are going to be at home, and it's all about again maintaining that schedule and maintaining that routine that you maybe had when you were at work. Instead of a 30-minute car ride home in order to be able to go home. Well, now you can actually just be done and be home. So it's for a lot of that, it takes out some time that you normally wouldn't be able to have at that point. But then again, if you really like that whole, okay, well, now I can just decompress and not be at work and not be at home. I could just be in my car and just listen to the radio or something along those lines. Make some time for yourself, because again, not having that time to be between work and between home, sometimes that really helps people out as far as not only staying connected with what's going on in the world, but also maintaining that personal sanity of just having some alone time as well.